The Model Shop live scale modeling show is brought to you by Tenant Controls, makers of lighting kits, soundboards, and more. Tenant Controls brings your models to life. Well, hello there, everybody. Boyd here with you, and welcome to episode 103 of the Model Shop, the live scale modeling show. We're broadcasting from our shop here in San Antonio, Texas. It's great to be back with you guys this week. I hope you all got to spend some time with your families over New Year's and had a great New Year's Eve celebration. We had a good time around here, plenty of fireworks going on. Sounded like World War III outside there, but it was always cool to see the stuff going up in the air. We had a good time. So we've got a great little show in store for you guys tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about a nice little model kit that's being garage produced by one of our members out there named Charles Forbin. I'm going to give you guys a little out-of-the-box review of this kit. Many of you guys have seen, maybe Charles has posted these on our Model Shop community page. He sent me a completed example of one of his kits, and I got to say, guys, this is really fantastic, especially if you're into robots and cyborgs and things like this. I mean, all the detail that you can work into these things is absolutely fabulous, and the craftsmanship on this kit is just fantastic. So I'll be showing you a little bit more of this completed example, and I've also got a kit sitting here that's straight out of the box, so we're going to take a quick out of the box review of that and show you guys what you get with that and talk about it a little bit more. I want to make a quick announcement. Many of you guys have been following along over at the Sci-Fi Fantasy group. They had their Model of the Year contest, and they just announced the winners a little bit earlier today. I'm going to go ahead and repeat those over here so the guys can get their proper credit. They had the Community Choice Award, which was basically voted on by members of the community. And actually, it was Interstellar Modeler, who's one of our members over here at the Model Shop community. He does fantastic work. He entered his Space 1999 Eagle, and as soon as I saw it on there, I knew he was going to do really well. He did a beautiful job on it. He lit it really nice, and really nice paint job and everything. So congratulations to Interstellar Modeler for winning the Community Choice Award. Well deserved. They also had a second part of the contest, which was going to be a first, second, and third place, which was going to be judged by some people that Kenny had working with him internally over there. Apparently there were some IPMS qualified judges, so they knew what they were looking at. And they announced the first, second, and third place winners, so I'm going to name those guys off right now. In third place, they had Andrew Prentice with the Mole. It was a cool little model of the kind of earth core digging machine that we used to see in the old Thunderbirds show. So that was a really cool model, and it was nice to see him do well in that. Second place, we had Mark Myers with his Classic Enterprise. He did a really nice job on that one. And then first place was Mark Dunmore with his RXO Gundam Unicorn. And if you looked at the paint job on that, he spent a lot of time on that, putting a lot of detail in it and weathering it and doing all kinds of cool stuff. And Gundams are a really cool modeling genre that a lot of people are into, so congratulations on that one. And congratulations to everybody that won, and also a big congratulations to everybody that entered their model in the contest at all. Every model that I looked at in there was just absolutely fantastic, and let's hope that they have an even bigger and better turnout next year. And it'll be interesting to see what people do and how they step up their game and what kind of ideas. I really enjoy going over there and looking at all the ideas and the creativity that people come up with when they build these models. It was just a fantastic turnout, and I know it was a big boost for the community over there at Sci-Fi Fantasy. Also, a big hats off to Kenny Conklin, who runs Sci-Fi Fantasy. I mentioned him before. Maybe sometime in the future here, in the next month or so, we can get a little interview with Kenny and have him come on here and explain a little bit about what that community is all about over there, and you guys can check it out if you haven't already. It's a great community, and a big hats off to for Kenny, to the way he runs it. He does it very professional, keeps it very informative, very interesting. A lot of model building articles over there, and just some really cool stuff going on. So it's definitely worth hanging out. I'm a member there, and glad to be one. So I hope you guys will join up over there as well. We're all part of a lot of communities, but it doesn't hurt to join one more, right? Okay, guys, moving on. We're going to talk a little bit more. I got a big list here to go over with you guys. We announced on our model shop community that we're going to do a 48-hour build this year. It's going to take place on starting on 12 o'clock a.m. USA Central Time on January 20th. So that means at 12 o'clock midnight on January 20th, you can start your kit. Now, the only rule that I'm going to have is that anybody who wants to enter the 48-hour build, you just have to go on to the Model Shop community. Don't send the picture to me on my email. Just post your picture. You have to be a Model Shop community member. Post your picture on our community with something in the foreground, such as your cell phone or something like that, that shows the time and the date, and with your kit in the background that you haven't started it yet. So you'll have 48 hours to build your model. So choose accordingly. Some people might want to challenge themselves. Some people might want to pick something kind of in the middle and easy, or whatever you want to do. And even if you don't finish it, it's all about having fun. But we are going to give away a first, second, and third place. The awards are going to be chosen by all the models that are actually finished by our members. We're going to have a week of voting on that. I'll put a poll up on the Google community so everybody can see how that's going. And then we'll announce the winners at the first show that we do. Now, if we're skipping a week on every show, so if that week I haven't looked at the calendar here, but if the week following we're off that week, it'll be the next week when we announce the winners. But we'll announce the winners on air, and I'll put up on there what we're going to give away for prizes. We'll probably give away a model kit or two, and probably some cool electronics again from our good friend Ralph at Tenna Controls. So we've got that to look forward to. As I said, the only rule will be you have to have a picture of your model unstarted. You can put your picture up anytime after 12 o'clock a.m. On January 20th, and your finished model anytime before 12 o'clock a.m. on January 22nd. That's when it ends. So it's exactly 48 hours. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. I picked that date because it's on a weekend. It's in the middle of January, so hopefully a lot of people will find some time to be able to take part in that. So that should be a lot of fun. Let me see if I'm missing anything else here. I think that's about it as far as the announcement, guys. So tonight, like I said, we're going to show you the out-of-the-box kit review on this great little robot kit from Charles Forbin, who calls it the ABCD. I think this is the B model. He's got several different versions of this. So we'll have a look at that. And then I've got this brand new Revell 1/426 scale kit of the USS Arizona. I was kind of inspired to pick this model up and build it because this year was the 75th anniversary of Pearl Harbor, and also, as you guys know, I just recently took that trip to the World War II Museum. I saw this model kit sitting in there, but I didn't have a chance to get it that day, but I picked it up, so I'm going to be starting on it, and this is actually going to be my 48-hour build. I'm kind of crazy, but I'm going to try to build this thing in 48 hours. I may not get all the rigging and stuff on it, but I think I can get most of the ship built So I'm looking forward to that. But we're going to show you a little out-of-the-box review on that tonight. And then I've also, as many of you guys know, I've also been working on the 1/350 scale USS Reliant conversion kit that's been put out by a garage maker out there. Again, he doesn't want his name put out there in public, but I've done 2 videos on my TrekWorks channel and put my email information there. If you guys out there are interested in picking up one of those kits, you can email me and I'll give you his email address so you can contact him and order yourself a kit. Keep in mind there's going to be a waiting list. He does these one at a time in his garage. He does a fantastic job, keeping up, and he's a really nice guy. And the kit itself, as I've shown on the channel here so far on these 2 videos, you can see it's a really, really nice kit, very high quality. You just have to keep in mind that it's not for a beginner. It's got some work involved with, you're using 2 kits. You're using the resin kit and you're using an enterprise refit kit, and you're combining the parts together. And you got to do a little bit of cutting and modifying and things. But I've done a little bit more work on the Reliant here, and I'll show you where I'm at on that. Now, for those of you that have been wondering, this week it's going to be sent out to our one of my good friends, Elliot Brown, over at Fedoratron, who's going to do some really nice photo etch work on that to create some detail parts for it. And a lot of you guys asked about that. Yes, we are going to make those available. Those aren't going to be through me or anything. They're going to be strictly through Elliot at Fedoratron. But he'll put up an announcement. You get to see the photo etch parts as soon as I get them back. He's, I guess his schedule is clear right now, so he's going to be able to get to work on them right away, so it shouldn't take too awful long before we'll have them back. We're going to have a few things we're going to do, and when I show the Reliant piece here in a minute, we'll talk about some of the things we're talking about doing as far as photo etch, so some cool stuff. I'm working on trying to work out either some masks for it or some decals, and we're don't have anything to say about that yet, but we're working on it, so hopefully that will become available too for those of you out there. I got contacted by several people who are actually already have their kit and are very interested in getting the photo etch stuff and whatever else becomes available, so that's good to hear. It's a really nice kit. Okay, everybody, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll show you the robot kit here, which I just think I love this thing. It's just absolutely gorgeous, and you can have so much fun with that with your detail work and everything. Use your imagination. We'll give you a look at that, and then we're going to come back after that, and we'll do our out-of-the-box review of the 1426 Revell USS Arizona. I'll talk a little bit about my build plan on that, and then we're going to show you a look at the Reliant tonight and see where we are with that. So we'll see you after the break, everybody. Be right back. Okay guys, well here we are with you again, and it's time to take a look at this great little robot kit from Charles Forbin. who calls these the robot kits, and these are the A, B, C, and D versions. As I mentioned in the beginning, I believe he mentioned that this is a B version. I think he has slight variances in the details and the shape of the face and all that, and maybe the base or a few other things. But I got this a couple of weeks ago, and I was just blown away when I saw the detail on this. Charles himself is a fantastic craftsman and modeler, and you can just see, I'm always pointing at the wrong camera here. If I get this up here for you, you can see, wow, look at that, guys. Isn't that cool? I mean, the shading on this, the weathering, the little details that he's put into this with all these kind of hydraulics, and even with the kind of severed wires in the back that almost look like dreadlocks and stuff. It's just totally awesome. So you can imagine what you could do with this with your own imagination. And if you're a fan of, robots and cyborgs and stuff like that, you could have a lot of fun with this. And these are really cool. I believe Charles had a version of this that he kind of created a Frankenstein out of, that he had in our model shop Halloween Spooktacular show this year, and it looked fantastic. So it's really, really nice. You get I believe the base is, let me check this for sure. Base is made out of wood. This is a resin cast up here, but just a lot of really cool little parts. So let's pull this out of the kit, or out of the box, and show you what it looks like in its raw form. You can see you get this nice little base here with the little wooden dowel pin here for your mounting. And let's start taking some stuff out here. A lot of little parts that come with this. He's got these all packed up nicely in little bags. I haven't even had a chance myself to look at this too closely yet. So let's just get everything out of here one at a time. And I think that's about everything. Okay. So, starting off with the first bag here, let's go ahead and check out the this looks like the upper part to the head, the forward part here, and again, this camera here with the white stuff always has a hard time. Let me see if I can back this one down here. There, that helps a little bit. But there's some beautiful, beautiful detail cast into this. The detail around the eyes, there's like little rivets on this. There's little, seams and hinge lines and stuff like that you can do a lot of weathering and shading on it. And it's a beautiful little resin casting. It doesn't have any pits or anything on it at all. It's really nice. Here's the back half of the head, and we'll show you that. And boy, I really wish this camera would do better here on that. It's a shame that this doesn't show up better. But you could see it a little bit more on the detail when it's been painted if I hold this one up. That same detail is there, these little kind of louvers here in the back, and all these little greelies that are all over this. It's just really, really cool. It's all there, guys, and you can have a lot of fun painting all that. And again, just really nice casting. It appears to be solid, so if you want to do any kind of lighting on it, you'd have your work cut out for you. If you want to light the eyes or something, but you could do it. You could drill in through the back side and get in there. It wouldn't be impossible at all. So you've got that. Here are the sort of side temple area, up in the temple area, these little inserts that go in there, which have all that detail on them. Even some little metal pieces here that have been plated to look like chrome. But there's just, little resistor looking things and just a little electronic looking things in there that you can have a lot of fun painting. Here's the, I believe this is the, I think that's what that is. Yeah, that's the lower part of the lower jaw. I'm not going to bother taking that out of the bag, but that's basically what it looks like. Part of the upper jaw here. Some more detail around the lower part of the shoulder area that all this stuff attaches to. And some more little detail parts that go on the head area here. Okay, so that's really cool. Let's put everything back in here so we don't lose this. Two big parts of the head back together, and then we're going to get in some of these small little detail pieces here. Okay, so you get some nice little nifty parts here for the detailing of the model, and I think maybe now the light might help us a little bit. So you've got some different little metal tubes here. in different shapes and sizes and lengths to do make all those kind of pneumatic rods that attach onto his neck. So this will be a build that'll take you a little while, to do all this detail. So you'll get your money's worth with your enjoyment for your build time. Here we've got some shrink wrap, which you make the wires and connections out of to make it, like this area here on the back. It kind of looks like dreadlocks or whatever, but it looks like severed wires and stuff. He's got some really cool stuff going on there. So you've got that, and more of these little metal pieces, just pieces of hollow tubing in different shapes and sizes. And here he's got these little pieces here. I'm not sure what these are, if he actually made these, but they're just little detail parts that connect all these things together, kind of like a little clevis. But they've got some really cool detailing if you look at them up close. Some wire to put inside your shrink tube there, and a couple of longer, thicker pieces of shrink tube. You can see what he did with it here. He's got it all too close. He's got it all coming down here, and he's got these little pieces that I just showed you in between some of these joints and everything to make it look like, connectors and stuff like that. But I believe the kits come with a DVD that, it comes with a DVD that gives you the instructions on how to assemble it, which is a nice little touch. So you can watch that at your leisure and follow along. So there you have it, guys. That's a look at his Charles Forbin's little robot kit here. I think it's absolutely fantastic, and for anybody that's a fan of that kind of stuff, they're going to be very pleased. It's just very unique and very creative, and you'll have kind of a, almost like a one-of-a-kind when you're finished with it. And just use your own imagination as far as how you want to paint it. You notice here he's got kind of a military camo paint job going on the base here with a lot of cool stuff going on, little chrome little dots on it here, and some weathering and chipping and fading and rusting and all kinds of cool stuff. He's a really fantastic modeler himself. You can tell by his work here. It's just gorgeous. And I want to thank Charles again for sending this to me. I've already got it in my display room. Now, I told Charles I don't have time myself here to build this kit up because I've got so much other stuff going on. So I'm going to be sending this kit out to my friend Armando Della Cabada, who builds a lot of figures. You guys know him on here as DLC Model Builder. And he's going to actually do a build-up of the kit and post his feedback about it on his YouTube channel. So you guys can check that out if you're interested in it. Get another modeler's perspective on the whole thing and see what he does with it with his imagination. So that'll be pretty cool to follow along. I'll be sending that kit off here. Hopefully I can get it out of here by this week. So again, thank you, Charles. He's got these kits really reasonably priced. You can contact Charles. If you email me, I'll give you his contact information, or maybe he can put it on our Model Shop Google page and get pricing and all that. I think the kits might cost different depending on which one you pick, depending on, I imagine, what amount of detail it comes with, or all that kind of stuff. So really, really cool, and I always enjoy sharing these new things with you guys like this. So thanks a lot again, Charles, for sending it in. Alright, time to take another break, everybody. When we come back, it'll be an out-of-the-box kit review of the Revell 1/426 scale USS Arizona that we're going to do for the 48-hour group build. See you with that in just a couple seconds, everybody. Be right back. Okay, everybody, we're here with you again, and now we're going to take a look at this wonderful kit from Revell. This kit's been around for a long, long time. This one's been out since probably around the 1960s or so. It is the 1/426 scale, which is a little bit of an odd scale, but it's a nice size for a ship. It's about, when it's finished, it's about as long as this box is, so you can picture the size of it. It's of the USS Arizona. I believe it was designated BB-39. Of course, it's the famous ship that was lost at Pearl Harbor. I've wanted to actually build this model for a really long time, and I thought about getting a 1/350 scale kit, but if I got a, and I still might do that at some point later, but a 1/350 scale with all the photo etch and all the stuff that you can do to that would take me a long time to build. And then also I've got to come up with a place to put it when I'm done too, because it's going to be a big model. And so I just don't have time for something that involved right now. So I picked up this kit after seeing it while I was at the gift shop at the World War II Museum here a few weeks ago. And I picked this up. They carry these in stock at Hobby Lobby, so I used my 40% off, and I got a really good deal on this kit. I think it was way under $20. I think I paid like $13 or $14 for it all said and done, so not bad at all. And it's a nice kit. Like I said, it's been around since the 60s. They've recast it several times, but the molds, I just kind of took a quick look at the kit here a few days ago, and it looks to be, still, the molds still look pretty good and everything. I've also gone around the internet and looked at a few YouTube videos about building this model that some people have posted, and as they mentioned, there's some inaccuracies. They're kind of minor, some things to do with the way they've got this kind of rope running along the side of the hull that's been cast right onto the hull, that people normally shave that off and replace it with realistic rope. And also, like, the railing around the sides here is not really good. The handrails, the chains at the front here for the anchors, not the greatest, but I'm not going to worry about all that. This is just going to be a basic out of the box. I am going to probably come back and do all the rigging on this, since I've got my nice this little stuff I like to use right here, this stuff they call Easy Line. It's I talked about this before here. It's a really nice product that's out there that allows you to do all that rigging, and has a stretchability to it, so you don't have to get everything super tight and have pressure on your parts and everything, and still keep nice tight looking, not drooping wires and stuff hanging down. So we're going to probably use that. But my goal for the 48-hour build is just to get the ship itself assembled and painted and mounted on its stand, pretty much looking done. So that's going to be quite a challenge, but it should be fun. Let's go ahead and pop this guy out of the box here real quick and have a look at it. One thing that surprised me when I saw it right away was that the hull comes molded in two halves, which usually these ship kits these days are one solid piece, and you just have to start working on putting the, attaching the deck onto the top of it and building up all the superstructure. But this one actually comes in two halves, so we're going to have to let's get the hull out of here first and show that to you. Get one side of it here, and it's just a little bit smaller than the box, but not by a lot. Go ahead and take it off the sprue here. I'm going to have to do that anyway. That doesn't count, guys. Your parts can be loose from your sprues in your 48-hour kit, so I'm not cheating on you. And I promise I won't have anything started on this. I'm going to have my pictures up just like everybody else. But so here are the two halves of the hull. And I hadn't test fitted this yet, but let's just give it a quick one here if it's not too difficult. It's got these kind of overlapping spars here on the bottom that have to be cut down that I can see. But it's probably going to fit pretty decent. But you can see we're going to have a seam that we got to deal with here on the bottom, which is not that big of a deal. We'll just see how bad it, sometimes you can get a big, what we call a step there, where one side's higher than the other. But if we take our time and sand on this, we should be able to get it right. She's pretty long, and she's actually pretty wide too, as you can see here. But the detail on the sides is pretty nice. There's some nice detail of the plating along the sides here. There's a bunch of portholes, and here's that kind of rope that they're talking about that's been cast right onto the side of the hull. The anchors and everything are separate, so that's good. There are some gun ports here. I may or may not, I probably will. I think I'll probably go through and I'll drill out all the portholes. I'm not going to light this or anything, but it looks a lot better with all the portholes opened up. and there's probably quite a few of them, probably a couple hundred, but that'll go pretty quick with our pin vise. This plastic is actually pretty thin, so we'll go ahead and do that. That always makes these ships look better, I think. So there's a look at the hull. You get a basic stand with this, which is your standard fare for these kind of ships, but you can always do your own kind of creative thing and improve on that if you want to. Let's pop out one of these sprues here, which we see here. First we have the Arizona had, I believe they were 14-inch guns. The main batteries were 14-inch guns, so she had 12 of them, 2 batteries up front and 2 aft. I could be wrong about that, but I think they were 14-inch. They started getting into, I think, the later, like Iowa-class battleships had 15-inch guns. And I think the biggest guns of any battleship in World War II were 16-inch guns, which were on the Yamato and the Musashi Japanese battleships. But so 14-inch guns were still pretty formidable. They could shoot probably over 20 miles easily. But really cool. And the detail on the turrets themselves looks really good. There's actual plating on these with little miniature rivets and everything. So if I can get these up here, this little camera's not going to do the job on that too well. But detail there is good. One of the smokestacks here. Some of the smaller 5-inch gun batteries. Anti-aircraft guns. These are probably 3-inch cannons here. We have the propellers on this sprue. She had 4 propeller shafts and 4 propellers. Here we have some detail at the top of the superstructure, some stairways. Here a bunch of patrol boats and lifeboats, which have a little bit of interior detail on them. Not too bad. Again, they do make a photo etch set for this kit, though, even though it's really small. They make a really nice, I think Edward makes a nice photo etch set, and also a deck planking set if you want to, do the deck. So there we have those. And let's take a look at the couple more sets of sprues here. Not a super high parts count compared to some ships. Here we have the airplane catapult, which had 2 airplane, I believe 2 seaplanes. Some of the superstructure here and the gun observation deck platforms, watchtower platforms and stuff. Which the Arizona had a really unique looking kind of a 2-tiered platform on the top. Here we have another sprue which has some of our cranes and our gun barrels for the big main guns, and just a bunch of small little detail parts, the anchors and some other stuff. What they would do is they would actually, when they would launch the seaplanes, when they went to retrieve them, for those of you who are a little younger and don't know a lot about World War II, they would use one of these cranes, and they would actually swing the crane over the side and attach on the plane and pick it up and bring it back and set it back on the catapult. So that's how they would retrieve the planes. So then we have part of the decking here, the midships part with all of our superstructure. I believe this is the foredeck with the 2 gun emplacements, the main batteries. There is actually still, I think, the very forwardmost turret is still in place on the Arizona. Otherwise, all the other guns were removed because they actually used them on other ships. They salvaged everything they could from the ship because it was a wartime, condition, and they were very short on supplies, and they needed repair parts for the other battleships that were either sunk or damaged at the attack. So everything was valuable, and once it was determined that the Arizona was beyond repair and it was going to be left there pretty much where it was, they started salvaging things. So just a kind of interesting little fact about that. But there's, the deck planking on it is not too bad. It's there. I'm just going to paint it. I'm not going to worry about getting anything fancy on it. Do a little bit of weathering on it. And here we have, actually that was the aft deck, guys. I was wrong. That's the aft deck. The foredeck here is obvious because it has the anchor chains on it, as you can see. Here are anchor chains right here, and then the 2 gun emplacements, of course, here, and then your superstructure and on back. But like I said, the decking on this is, you can feel it pretty good with your fingernail. It's pretty pronounced, so it should show up pretty good with a little bit of a, wood paint color on there. Maybe a little bit of a wash put over that will bring that out a little bit. The anchor chains are just molded in flat. Like I said, I'll probably just try to paint those. I'm not going to worry about replacing them. This is just a kit to have some fun with. Here are some very, very limited decals. These are waterline decals here. That shows you how far the ship is sitting in the water. That goes up at the bow on both sides and at the stern. And then there's the Arizona name, which I think goes on the very stern of the ship. And then we have some flags. Interesting that they even give you a Nazi flag on here for some reason. I guess it's just kind of a universal flag thing. But we can look up online and see what all these flags mean and find out which ones are supposed to be on the Arizona. The Arizona may have had an admiral's flag on it or not. I'm not sure. But we'll probably use these if they're the right ones. If not, you can always go online and order stuff. They make all kinds of stuff for these World War II ship models. Basically, anything you're looking for, you can find. So this is a great little kit, and like I said, being a fairly low parts count kit, I think I could do this model in 48 hours. It just depends on how much work it's going to take to fix the seams and all that, and drill out the portholes. But should be fun. Let's take a quick look at the instructions now. Of course, for typical Revell, you've got your color callouts, which I always like how they do this. They've got all your colors listed. You can see those here. And then they've got all the parts identified by number and by description. And then you start getting into your actual build itself. You start off with gluing the two halves of the hull together and permanently attaching it onto the base if you decide to do that. Propeller shafts going on, propellers. Then you've got your looks like you're working on the foredeck first with the forward turrets, all the little detail parts, the 5-inch guns, bollards, which are basically just, you know, the big things that stick up that they hook all the ropes up to when they're tied up at shore. Then that kind of subdeck goes down on top of the foredeck. Then you're going onto the rear section here, doing the same thing, putting the turrets together, the airplanes, the catapults, smaller anti-aircraft guns, and some smaller shore batteries. And then the two halves drop on down to the hull. Then you're finishing up with all the delicate superstructure, the watchtowers and the bridge and the gun director's platform. Some cool stuff, some searchlights that go on that. Okay. And then you got your lifeboats going on, a couple cranes, another airplane, another catapult, your mast, and the smokestack. And finally you wind up with a few of the gangway planks or gangway stairs and some small detail stuff at the end. The decals going on. And that's a picture of the finished model. They give you a little bit of instruction here, refer you to the box art as far as the rigging. There's been some pretty good videos about this online about doing the rigging, so I'll probably use those for reference. So there you go, guys. That's a really nice little kit, and again, it's a item that they stock regularly at your local Hobby Lobby. So if you use your 40% off, you can go over there and get a really sweet deal on this right now, and build you a nice little tribute to the 75th anniversary of Pearl Harbor, which was this year, which is kind of why, like I said, why I was inspired to do this one. So that's it, guys. This is really nice box art on here too. I really like that painting. So there you go. There's a look at the 1/426 scale Revell USS Arizona. And now you could do your research on this too. They only give you these more updated looking masts and superstructure here. The earlier version of the ship, you know, this was actually quite an old ship by the time it was lost at Pearl Harbor. It was built in, I think, maybe if I'm not wrong, 1918 or something like that, or 1920. So it was a fairly old ship, but it had a lot of different looks to it over the years, and different paint schemes and everything. So you can kind of build it according to, you know, what era of time you wanted it to represent. You know, the way that it's portrayed right here, and the way the kit is set up, it looks like it was, you know, right before we lost it at Pearl Harbor. So that's just the way I'm going to build it right out of the box, like I said. So very interesting kit. Okay, everybody, so we've got that for you, and so now we're going to come back and we're going to have a look, take another quick break, and we're going to come back and show you a little bit more work that I've been doing on the 1/350 scale Reliant conversion kit, and talk a little bit about what our battle plan is for getting our photo etch and some of the other stuff we want to have done to that model. So we'll see you with that in just a couple seconds. Okay everyone, we're back once more, and this time we've got our big boy up on the bench. You can see this is the 1/350 scale USS Reliant that I'm working on. This is a, for those of you who have seen the video, two videos that I put out on my TrekWorks channel already know what this is, but for those of you who don't, there has been a conversion kit produced which allows you to use a 1/350 scale Enterprise refit and combine it with this rear section here that's cast out of resin, which you get with your kit. To create the USS Reliant in 1/350 scale. Now guys, you can see in the shot here, this is a big model. It's almost as big as the De Boer's Reliant. So you'll have a really nice, beautiful model when you're done, and it'll be in scale with your 350 scale Enterprise refit, so you can have your own battle of the Matara Nebula going on in your hobby room when you're done. So how cool is that? So But this goes without saying that it's not for the beginning modeler. There's a lot of work that you have to do. I would recommend getting some experience underneath of your belt before you try to take something like this on. Now, the kit itself, I'm not going to give you an exact price on what this kit costs because it may have changed since I got mine. As I mentioned, you can email me at info@trekworks.net. And I will give you the guy's email address, and you can contact him directly to find out pricing and how long you'll have to wait to get your kit. He casts these one at a time, so he's got a little bit of a waiting list. And since I put my video out a couple of days ago, he's gotten quite a few more orders, and he's cranking them out as fast as he can. The mold and the casting is top quality work. It's extremely no pits at all. There's just a little bit of minor flash on the molds that has to be removed, which was easily done. I've already got all these parts all cleaned up. But the actual work that you have to do to cut this all open and get it ready, and then take your saucer and cut that, and then get it connected to this, and then do all the filling in to fill in all the seams and create everything here. It's a little bit beyond what a beginning modeler is used to, so keep that in mind. You know, even if you're a beginner and you want this kit, I would recommend getting one and then building up your skills and then just building it later, because you know these garage kits, they come and they go. This could disappear after a few months and won't be available anymore. So you know, there just aren't any 350 scale Reliants out there. We've all been waiting years for one of the major you know, model companies to put one out, but it just doesn't seem to happen. So this is a great opportunity. Now I would say, just looking at this too, that the detail on this and the accuracy of this is actually a little bit better than the De Boer's. So keep in mind the De Boer's is a, you know, I don't think it's available anymore, but it was close to a $2,000 model kit when it was out there. So you know, you're getting, you know, at a fraction of that cost, you're getting something that's almost as big as that, and in my opinion, just maybe even a little bit more accurate if you take your time and build it right. And especially once we get all these photo etch parts and everything that we're going to be working on. But I left off on my last video where I was talking about the work that I'm doing on this model, and the main area that you're going to have to focus on is getting this area connected together. I'll show you the bottom side of this, and you can basically see what the connection is. Using pretty much this much of your Enterprise refit saucer, you're getting rid of the rear section there that you don't need anymore, and then you're using the entire bottom of the refit saucer. The refit bottom saucer has this, bring this into the picture for you really quick. You know, of course it has this neck detail on it, but you don't have to worry about that, because included with this resin kit is that sort of triangle shaped overlay that we saw on the bottom of the USS Reliant. It's got kind of some ribbed detail that comes up right here and completely covers this up. Now, just kind of fiddling around with it, I've determined that the center of gravity, or the balance point on this model, is going to be right in here somewhere. So that's going to be where my mounting apparatus goes. I'm going to use a fairly good sized rod, and then inside here I'm going to do a buildup of some kind out of wood and epoxy it all down, and then get my rod threaded into that, and then probably have the swivel capability on the bottom where it mounts into my base, whatever I decide to go with. So there's some engineering and some figuring out to do there. But that's just kind of what you're involved with. Now you've got to also, I'm just going to review this real quick. I already showed this on my video on my YouTube channel. Let's bring these parts in here. Get this one out of the way really quick. We're going to go back to that in just a second, but you also have to modify your nacelles that you use. Again, that darn bright white light. The nacelles that you get with your 350 scale Enterprise kit, you need to modify and use with this. These are the struts that come with the resin kit here, which have this really nice piece of hollow tubing that's been cast in here to pass your wiring through that. But you have to get these mounted onto the top of these nacelles because, of course, on the Enterprise refit, we came in with our pylons from the bottom, and now we're dropping in from the top as they were, on the underneath of the hull of the ship. So you've got to work that in. I just basically cut a slot in there and made sure I was exactly halfway centered. And then the trick to it was when you got to kind of temporarily put your pylon clamp it onto your hull, and you've got to get the tilt of the nacelle just right because they don't come straight down. Otherwise, they're going to wind up being bowed out on you. But I talk about all that on my video if you want to go check that out. So you have that. Well, also on the bottom of your nacelle on your Enterprise refit, there's a whole extra section that's sort of a hump, if you want to call it that, like a big extra little bulge that's on this that the pylon went into before. So that's not there on the Reliant. So you've got to basically shave that off, and then you've got this gap here in the bottom. So my plan is going to be, I'll just take some probably 040 sheet styrene, which is about the same thickness as this stuff, make a little filler panel right here, and just fill that all in, and then putty it in, and do it on each half, and that way when we go together we'll just have a seam we have to cover up in the middle. I can't do it all the way across it because I've got to do all my lighting on the inside of this piece and everything. I'm going to be running all my lights and everything. I've got my wiring passed through here. The reason this is all puttied up here is I made a trench so that the wiring can come from the inside of the hull and drop down into this tube and come into our nacelle and power up our chiller grill and all of our other lighting. The other half is going to go out the top into the roll bar and power up our photon launcher and our navigation lights, which are up there on the top. So you'll figure all that out when you get your kit and you see what you've got to do. If you decide you want to light it, you don't have to light it if you don't want to. So a couple little mods you have to do there. I've just got this other nacelle which I haven't worked on yet. I'm going to actually send this one off to Elliot so he can make up all the photo etch for the chiller grills and everything. Back to this piece, we've got some work we need to do here. Now, I've already heard back from a couple of people. It seems to vary a little bit. Unfortunately, on my kit here, this is a resin cast, and towards the rear here, the resin kind of piled up. If you guys can see it in there in the back, and there's a detail that we have on the Reliant, which is these two shuttle bays here, that was really cool on the studio model, where they had this whole perimeter here like lighted up around the doors, so it gave this really cool kind of halo glow effect. And it, to me, if you don't light that and you don't have that right, it just doesn't look like the Reliant. So what we're going to have to do here is I'm going to have to come up with a way to get at that. I can't do any work in here with these the way they are because the resin behind them is like that thick. So it may wind up where I completely cut this whole section out and then get in there and clean up that back wall, with a grinder and shave it down to where I can get it almost flat. Or I may cut some little trap doors in here in the bottom, which a friend of mine suggested, and so that I can just get up in that area right there and do some cleanup work, and then I don't have such a big area that I have to repair here. The only reason I hesitate about that is that there's some really fine little ribbing detail that's right in that area, which I would have a really hard time getting that back if I cut right there. It'd actually be easier to cut this whole area right here and come around. There's nothing here in this area. I just have to re-putty this little seam that I made once I cut it. I have to keep my cut really thin. But so that's one issue that you may or may not have to deal with depending on how your kit was cast if you're going to do the lighting. But everything else I was able to get to. I was able to drill all the way through to get my lighting here for this crystal on the bottom, the lights that are going to go in the back here around the shuttle bay, the impulse engines, and the crystal that's up on top. And the officer's lounge, I've already got that opened up. That was no problem. All the windows around the perimeter of it drilled through real easy up here in the front. So some of them still had to be reshaped just a little bit, but they're all basically roughed in. That took me maybe about an hour and a half. The nice thing about this mold is that these are already cast in and they're fairly deep, they're fairly recessed, so you've got a nice guide for your drilling. You're not drilling blind, like with nothing at all there. So you should be able to do a pretty decent job. and resin being a little bit tougher, it's pretty thick and everything. Your drill doesn't tend to like have a chance to do much damage, so you just have to do a little bit of cleanup. I got a couple of them that the edges weren't exactly perfect, so just a little bit of putty on that, and I go in there with a file and cleaning it back up, and then priming over it, and that'll be fine. So that's pretty much it so far, guys. The plan is that this is going to go off to Elliot this week. I'm basically just going to tell him, whatever he can do, whatever he thinks. And Elliot's a really creative guy and really smart, and so I'm sure he'll come up with a really nice photo etch kit for this model. And a lot of you have asked about it, and yes, that will be available. Elliot's going to make that available over at his website, fedoratron.com. And when I get the parts in here, of course, I'll show everybody what they are. I know they'll be really good quality, and Elliot will have them so they fit really good and everything. And so that'll be a really nice addition to this kit. As far as masks or decals, I haven't made up my mind which way I'm going to go yet. Now, I was doing some research on this, and I was actually mistaken. I thought that the Aztec pattern on the hull on this was way different than the Enterprise refit. Well, it turns out it's not. The back section has kind of this jumbled up, squares and rectangles all kind of overlapping each other and stuff, and they're in those different shades of like light gray, medium gray, and that Federation kind of robin egg blue. But up here at the front, it's the same pattern as the Enterprise refit. Now, I have a set of Aztec masks for the Enterprise refit from the kit. So decals. So if I decide to go decals up here in the front, those actually would be accurate. They look, I was able to find some better pictures of the studio model, and they would work just fine for that. I'd rather have painting masks, and I do have a set of the Orbital Dry Dock Enterprise refit painting masks, so I may go ahead and paint the Aztecs on this. Now, the one big difference is that the Reliant did not have the iridescent colors on it. It did just have the duller colors when they, because ILM did the lighting and everything and the work on filming these miniatures, and they had already figured out by the time they made Star Trek II that they couldn't use those iridescent colors, and that's why, unfortunately, they took the refit and dulled it way down and pretty much took away that beautiful pearl paint job we saw that it had in Star Trek the Motion Picture. So the Reliant was done with apparently a similar pattern, but way subdued as far as the colors that were on it. So we kind of have our choice there. The thing I don't have is I don't have anything for the rear section. Now, Elliot mentioned to me something about maybe creating some brass friskets, which would be really thin pieces of brass that you could use as templates, and you could lay them down on here and you could do your spraying. So we may go that route. I may just take sections of the, if I decide to go with decals, I may just take sections of the, that kind of clustered up, jumbled up rectangles and squares that we saw, which do go on the sides of the hull of the Enterprise refit, and just cut them out and piece them all together and put them on here. And it would probably look pretty good. So, or use the masking set I have, which is basically the same thing. They won't have the specific shapes. You'll just have to lay them down on here and work your way, across top and bottom. So, but I don't think that'd be too hard. And then, of course, the nacelles, the detail on those is exactly like they were on the refit. So the same patterns. We can either use the masks or the decals that come with the Polar Lights Enterprise refit kit for that. So that's kind of what the plan is so far, guys. If I do hear anything about anybody specific, I've talked to a couple of people about decals or masks specifically for this, and if I hear anything about it, typically those take a while because you're doing a lot of precise measuring and you're starting from scratch. So I don't know. It may be a while before those are available, and if it is, I'll go a different route. But we'll see what happens. I'll keep you guys up to date on that, and anything I learn, you guys will hear about it. I'm still doing just a little bit more work on this area right here. I've put about my third coat of putty on this, and you can see, since maybe if you watched my last video, I'm getting there's just the slightest little bit of a hump right here where this part of the resin kit combines with the saucer, and there's nothing you can do about that. You just have to deal with it. I'm slowly building this up, and probably after one more coat, I'm going to have it where I want. Then I'm going to use a compass, and I'm going to, with a cutting tool here, a scribing tool, and I'm going to have to come back and re-scribe this little line that we lost right here, that last grid line on the saucer. But that's not a problem at all. We'll get that back. Now, one little tip that I'm going to pass along to you guys that I figured out on this, since I worked on it, is what I would do differently if I did another one, is that I wouldn't use this part of the resin kit. I would go ahead and cut this thing off right up here and just follow this curve right around here on the bottom of this BC deck. And then I would cut that part off of the Enterprise refit model, and I would leave that section of the saucer intact so that all we're attaching onto the top of the saucer is this part right here. That way you won't lose all this stuff. Okay, you wouldn't lose all that shape, and you wouldn't lose that grid line there, and the only seam you'll have to worry about is this little one right here around here, which is really would be super easy to fix. So you may want to think about that when you're out there trying to do yours. So yeah, like I said, anything I learn, I'm more than happy to pass along to you guys out there, kind of be the guinea pig on this thing. And who knows, I may, like I'm kind of considering this one a prototype. I may build another one after this. Who knows? So there you go, guys. That's kind of getting you up to date, and I just wanted to get you, some information on this, because I said it'll probably be a couple of weeks before I'll have any kind of an update on this again. It'll be gone off to Elliot, and I told him not to hurry at all. Take his time. And knowing Elliot, he'll come back with something really beautiful, and we'll all have some really nice parts available for this when he's all done. And as soon as I get everything back in the shop here, I'll definitely share it with you guys. All right. So there you go. There's the 350 scale Reliant. And again, I highly recommend this kit. If you guys are fans of the Reliant and you want to build a 350 scale, and you've had a little bit of experience modeling, you shouldn't have any problem at all. Just take your time, cut everything, and cut too small at first. You don't want to cut too much because you can't get that back. What I did is I cut a little bit at a time, and I just kept trying it, test fitting and tweaking a little bit here, and hand sanding just little increments at a time, and it went together pretty good. You don't want to, like I said, cut too far and have to try to fill in some really huge gaps and stuff like that, because that can start to be a problem. But overall, looking really good. All right, guys. So there you go. That's what we had for you tonight. I'm going to come back now after a quick break again, and we're going to head over to our shout-outs and our question and answer session for tonight. Hopefully there's a nice group of people enjoying the chat. They were probably getting caught up with the conversation since the holidays. We've been off for a couple of weeks here, talking about what they got for their modeling projects going on. So I'm interested to see what you guys are talking about tonight. I'll be back in just a couple seconds after our break, and we'll see you there, guys. Stay tuned. All right, again, back with you once more. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed what we had for you tonight. And If any of you have any questions about what we showed you along the way tonight, go ahead and drop them in our little chat session here, and I'll try and answer those for you if I can. And if anybody out there has any questions about our upcoming 48-hour build or anything like that, so time now to head over to our shout outs and our question and answer session for tonight. I hope it's a little warmer where you guys are at. We've had a really cold spell here. I've got the heaters going on in the shop tonight, so I hope it's not distracting too much on the sound. Okay, let's start off at the top. We got Jim Clark, Dadnator24, Heath Tompkins, Mark Shue, James Schulenberg, Andy Podmore, Brian Knowles, Kenneth Zimmerman, John Bennett, Barrick13. Looks like Kenny with Sci-Fi Fantasy is here, or at least he was here earlier. Nice to see you, Kenny. And Kenny, job well done on your Model of the Year contest this year, and your website and your community and everything. So I hope that gets even bigger and better next year, and you picked up a lot of new members over there. Very inspiring to see all the creativity and the work that went on in that contest. Let's see, we've got Omar with us, Ken Zimmerman, Dennis with Federation Shipyard, Charles Forbin. Well, Charles is here tonight. Nice to see you, Charles. So glad to put out the word on your kits. Fantastic job on those. They're just wonderful, and hopefully those will take off for you, Charles. You do some really great work, and people who are fans of the, like I said, of robots and cyborgs and stuff like that, they're just going to love this stuff. And I'm looking forward to Armando's buildup of the kit. We'll get that off to him right away. We've got... let's see, Bob Busking is with us tonight. Nice to see you, Bob. Mike Scarola, Shannon Freeman, Aussie Trekkie, Mike Kovach, John Petrie, staying up late again tonight, John. Good to have you with us. Perrin Greenway, Modelergy, Dan Harris, Rocket Boy 1969, E-Biker 56. Nice to see you, James. Outsider 238, Leona Timber Company. Let's see. Rick Hanlon. Dale Anderson. Dale, thanks so much again for that. Those two USS Excelsior kits. I hope you like the way that the one turned out that we worked on here. We sure had a good time building it. Maybe I'll get around to building the NX 2000 version of that here down the road over the wintertime or maybe towards spring. Big Stats. Robert Morris. Christopher Baxley. Star Trek. Props and Models. How you doing, Ian? Nice to see you with us tonight. James Schulenberg. John Hunt. John Jahowski. I hope I'm saying your name right, John. I hate butchering people's names. Richard Fici. Richard might be new with us. I don't recognize that name. Welcome to our little group here, Richard. Paul Di Tommaso. Barry Steinledge. Red Shirt Forever. James Kirk. Looks like we got quite a few Canadians on here with us tonight, and it's probably really cold up there. Mark Dunmore. Several from the UK as well. Nice to have you guys on with us. Shannon Freeman is asking, have I run into any problems with the smooth saucer on the 350 scale Classic Enterprise kit? No, I haven't, Shannon. Haven't seen anything yet. Let's see. We've got Alcla 2030. He says he got 2 Excelsior kits for Christmas. That's great. That'll keep you busy. JD, who's from Australia, says it's nice and warm there. Well, good for you. BAZR from Ireland. Wow, cool. Nice to have you with us. Mariel Leva. Nice to have you along with us, too. Alpha Trion, 13 degrees in Green Bay. Hey, congratulations on that victory tonight, boys. Way to get it done. We're moving on. We sent those Giants packing. I was really happy about that. Okay. Let's see. Leona Timber Company is saying about the 48-hour bill. If we start at 12 a.m. midnight on Friday the 20th, all of us that work Friday will lose out several hours. Any chance of moving it to? Well, I don't see that, Leona. You're not able to start until 12 o'clock on Friday night. I don't know if maybe I didn't say that right. You can't start the model until 12 o'clock that night. So you've got basically you're starting at 12:01 a.m. on Saturday morning, and then you're working all the way through until 12:01 a.m. I guess it would be on would it be Monday? Well, anyway, it's gonna be 48 hours. I'll get that figured out if I posted it wrong. But you're basically starting Friday night at midnight at 12:01. So nobody's going to be working on their models during the day on Friday. It's supposed to mean it was supposed to mean I guess Saturday then at 12 o'clock. I guess I put the wrong time. I'll fix that. So you'll basically have the entire weekend to work on it. So again, hopefully we get a lot of people involved. And it's not about being fancy, guys. It's just picking a little model. I almost was going to pick this one right here, this little guy right here that I've had, this little kit that we got from UGH Models of the Oberth class. You can build this up as the Grissom, which I've always wanted to have one of those, but I decided to try something a little bit more just to push myself a little bit. And but yeah, just pick a simple kit and just have fun with it. You don't have to light it. You don't have to do anything like that. We're just mainly going to give out kind of participation awards for people who finish their models. It's not about the biggest, most fanciest one. So it should be fun for everybody, and hopefully we get a nice turnout. Let's see. Oh, sorry, Thomas. He's a Giants fan. I knew there'd be one in here. Sorry, buddy. Better luck next year. I'm just glad my team won. It was ugly in the first half. I didn't know who was going to pull it out. Okay, Larry Reichert. Nice to see you here, Larry. Van Demons. Outside 238. Terry Cullen. Oh, Terry's a fellow Texan. He's up in Universal City. Nice to have you with us, Terry. He says he just found the channel. Well, you'll have a fun time hanging out with this bunch every time we do a show. Terry, they're a great group of people, and they have fun talking about their modeling and all their stuff during the chat that we do when we're doing our broadcast. You'll get a nice warm welcome from these guys. Peter Chow is asking anything on decals for the 1350 Reliant. Nothing yet. Now you do with the kit, you get the basic markings, but you don't get the Aztecs. But like I was mentioning a minute ago, you can use the decals from your refit. You just got to do a little bit of trimming if you want to use them. But the ones for the saucer will work, and the ones for the nacelles will work. But if you want to, the patterns on the top and the bottom, you can just take the ones for the secondary hull for the refit, and you can just kind of bunch them together and make them yourself. You just have to, trim them out, cut them out. It shouldn't be too hard. Paul Haar says he is getting set to build a 1/1000 scale refit. Yeah, that's a nice little kit. I guess Omar's not a Packers fan. Sorry, Omar. Red Shirt Forever says, have I seen JT lately? I haven't seen him in a little while. If you mean JD, I guess that's who you mean. I haven't seen him for a while. He's really busy working. I see him passing by on his way to work, and I wave at him and stuff, but I haven't talked to him in a while. Akela 2030 says thanks for the lighting list you did. Yeah, glad you could use it, Akela. That's what it was for. I get so many emails and messages about what I use. I figured I'd just put a list. I should have been doing that all along. I just put a list at the end of the Excelsior first part 1 and part 2 that listed everything I used and where I put it in the model. So that should help you guys out. Paul De Tomaso says he's setting up a workspace and he wants to get into airbrushing. Yeah, just take your time, Paul, a little bit at a time. Sometimes you look at all these, some of us out here that have these shops with all this stuff in here. It took me years to gather all that stuff, so just take your time. It's really, I don't want to say it's inexpensive, but it's not that expensive if you just buy a little bit here and a little bit there, and just make sure you, you buy stuff that's reasonable quality, especially when it comes to tools, because that'll last you a lifetime. Stuff you can use over and over and over. You're always going to be constantly buying supplies and stuff for glue and paint and all that, but and sandpaper. But so. Any other questions about the 48-hour build, guys? As I said, I'll get that date straightened out, and Leona brought up a good point there. He might have been thinking it was going to start, during the day, and people were going to be that didn't have to work Friday were going to have a big, advantage or whatever. So no, it's intended to be to where everybody gets the weekend to work on it. And I know some people still work on the weekend too, but unfortunately, I just had to pick I had to pick the best time I could, and that's what I did. But I'll get that straightened out, and on the subject, guys, you can build whatever you want. You can build sci-fi. You can build, here at the model shop, on my TrekWorks channel, I kind of do a lot of sci-fi stuff, but here, it's all about whatever you want. Car, boat, plane, figure, whatever you want to do, guys. John's got to punch out for the night. Good to see you, John. Leona Timber Company is going to take part. He's got an AMT Freightliner kit he's going to build. Oh, that'll be nice. Akla 2030 is asking, where do you log in? It's at our model shop Google community page. So if you go to Google Communities and do a search, you'll just look for the model shop, or it used to be called the Model Shop Guys. It might still be called that, but either the Model Shop or the Model Shop Guys. That'll bring you to our community. Just join, and then you'll be able to post, and then just post your picture. Again, guys, don't forget that important part. You got to put your time stamp on there with your kit. And of course, when you finish. Rick Hanlon says, have I ever thought about doing a time lapse of a complete 350 build? I've got so much footage of building the 350 models, Rick, that I don't know if I ever do that. Half the time I forget to set up the camera anymore. I build these for customers now, and I'm usually building 4 or 5 at a time, and I've got them kind of in just an assembly line kind of thing going on. But I've got a ton of footage on those 350 scale models on my channel. There's close to 500 videos on my channel now about that stuff. I might do it sometime. Now, I haven't decided yet for sure, guys, but I may do a Google Hangout for our 48-hour build. Now, what that's going to be is, the space on the 48-hour or in the Google Hangouts is limited. So if I do decide to do it, it's going to be for people that are actually going to be coming in there and they're on their bench working on their model, because we want to have people that are watching, like, seeing the progress. It's not going to be like a chat session, where we're just chatting. It's going to be there might not be a lot of talking going on because everybody's going to be really busy working on their kits, but I'll put something up on the page about that too and see if anybody's interested. if we do decide to do that, we may do like a, maybe I'll broadcast for a few hours and then somebody else will take over on their channel. You'll probably have to have a YouTube channel if you want to do that. We'll see. Or we may just do it for a few hours that first night and then call it a wrap, and then maybe come back towards the end of it and pick it up again when everybody's starting to get close to finishing. So, we'll just see how that goes. I'll put something up about that too. I think Google is still doing Hangouts, aren't they? I know they were going to change it or something, but I use Uvu quite a bit, but Uvu doesn't allow you to broadcast to a live audience. So we would have to do it on a Google Plus or Google or a regular YouTube live stream. Yeah, unfortunately, some of the guys are saying they have to work that weekend. Yeah, it's too bad. I wish, if I put it during the week, there'd probably be even more people that couldn't do it then. So I just have to, throw something out there. Hopefully it'll work out for you next time, because we plan on doing quite a few more of these. Mokili737 says he's going to try to pick up a Bondi 172 Advanced Vader TIE Fighter on my next trip for the 48-hour build. Yeah, go for it. Love to have you in there. The more the merrier. I don't know if you guys have, speaking of Star Wars, if any of you guys have seen that there's a new kit out there from Russia of the Star Destroyer kit, which looks interesting. I may get one of those kits. I'm not sure yet. Kind of waiting for a couple guys that I know to get there. A couple guys that I know have gotten theirs. I'm kind of waiting for some feedback on what they think of the kit first. It's not exactly cheap, but it's a big model. It's like 22 inches long and like 12 inches wide at the back. So as far as I know, it's the biggest production Star Destroyer kit that they've ever made, and initial reports on it are that it seems pretty nice. Good night, Heath. Looks like Heath is checking out. Or good day. I'm not sure what time it is there. He's in Australia as well. Okay, folks, I don't see too many more questions coming through. So I think we're about ready to call this a wrap, guys. Looks like some of the people have to go anyway. Remember, it'll be a week off, and then we'll be back. Again, I don't have my calendar up here in front of me, but we'll be off next week, and then we'll be back the week after that. We don't have any upcoming holidays coming in the near future, so we should be on a pretty regular schedule. Good night, Kenny. Good job again with the contest. Can't wait till next year, and we'll all be checking out what you're doing over at Sci-Fi Fantasy. Great job, buddy. Congrats again to all the people who entered the contest. So I guess we're going to call it a wrap, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Again, we'll be back a week after next Sunday. Same time, same channel, and we'll have some more interesting stuff to share with you guys. I don't know if I'll have anything more on the Reliant, but as soon as I get something back from Elliot Brown on that, I'll post it on my TrekWorks channel, and we'll go from there. I can't wait to continue on with that one. That one's been really fun. So we'll see you next time, everybody. Good night, take care, and happy modeling, everyone. Thanks for taking part in the chat, and welcome to all the new people that joined us tonight. Hope you'll join us again.